So for you, in order to register a trademark, you have to go to market, and then you can sell the trademark. The government is never going to allow you to file an intent to use application. So kind of pre-market filing of a trademark application and then sell or transfer that trademark application to a third party. You have to
Okay.
go to market before you can assign the trademark to a third party.
Ooh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
That is different on the patent side. You
it
can
is.
transact, pending applications. Is there a difference between patenting for a design and patenting for functionality? What's the line between the two? It's a wonderful question. Basic answer is when you're looking for protection on the way something looks alone, seek design patents. If you're looking to protect functionality, what something does, how it works, that's a utility patent. So, so two very different things. What are you trying to protect? What is novel about what you've come up with? Is it the way that it looks? Is it the design, the three-dimensional shape? Or is it more about how it performs, a utility, a benefit? Now, it is possible for you to have both. I mean, I'm thinking about like a handle for a door, right? A door handle. Sure, it's got a certain aesthetic, a look and a feel to the handle. And you might think, well, let's look at design patents first. But hold on, right? And a handle can have ergonomic benefits. Maybe it's got additional functionality in terms of it being a smart handle. Let's get carried away here, right? Why not? And maybe it's got fingerprint analysis, or it's got the ability to look at a specific weight, or maybe you have a sensor on a key ring, or right, a remote proximity sensor where it's able to have functionality to give access. So that would go toward utility. I generally will advise clients to go for a utility patent first because what's beautiful is once you submit all the drawings, the written description that's required for a utility application, you can then later go back and claim design aspects before the parent utility file is granted. So it gives you a lot more time to go to market, test out those door handles, and see which one is best suited, best for the market, and is selling the best. Now go get a design patent, so long as you haven't had that parent application grant yet. So
Yep.
would Strata be an obvious conflict with the existing trademark of, quote, Colina Strata, both in class 25 clothing? Strata is a sports equipment and clothing brand. Colina Strata is a New York City fashion female clothing brand.
Interesting. So Colina Strata, I mean, that sounds like a name of an individual.
Yeah, it sounds like a beverage you might order.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a
In,
Colina
a, in, a,
Strata.
in
Yeah.
Strata, I think Strata means street in German. No, I'm sorry, it's Italian. So Strata is street in Italian. So that means that at the USPTO during the examination procedure, the USPTO is going to look at the word street for apparel. And I can almost guarantee it's registered.
Okay. Which means
No trademark.
okay, not going to be able to move forward with it being just descriptive.
Yep. So
Merely descriptive.
merely descriptive, which is kind of crazy, right? That you can have a merely descriptive trademark in a foreign language, but that's how we do it at the USPTO. And this is kind of one of those strange ones that trips a lot of individual applicants up if they don't attorney, and it trips up a lot of attorneys who aren't maybe familiar with the trademark process, because there's kind of two things here. The first issue would be, potentially likelihood confusion with Colina Strata. Not so worried about that one potentially, but the surname refusal and the doctrine of foreign equivalence are two of the big ones that clients miss. So,
Yeah.
This translates from from Italian to English. It's descriptive, potentially of streetwear, street apparel, potentially, or it's already been registered. And then, of course, Strata could be a surname, in which case, unless it's exceptionally rare, it's going to be deemed merely a surname and not registrable.
Got it. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
We got a friend, somebody's friend, who recently got a patent for a biteless bridle. She's interested in possibly getting a patent broker. What are some things to look for? What are good questions to ask? Solid. Well, a patent broker is someone who will help you as the inventor, patent holder, find, and if they're a patent attorney or an attorney, they will help you negotiate and execute either a licensing agreement or a sale of your IP assets. The hard part, of course, is finding a deal, but that's what the brokers do. if you've got a good one, I would ask for track record. I would ask for success stories. I mean, that's really, and also the process. How are they contacting? How will they be, communicating on your behalf? And then, of course, look at the fine print, look at their contract to see, because you've hired them, they're representing you. Oftentimes, and we do this here because we have patent brokerage services where we're going to represent you for a certain period of time. And sometimes deals take a long time to mature. And so there's an additional what's called a tail. And we don't hide it, but you should look to see where it's at. If after that 12-month goes by and a deal still percolates, it ends up, right, cementing or executing within a certain time frame, that broker is still going to earn their commission. So those are some kind of high-level stuff to look at in terms of the broker. When you're sitting down and talking with them, I am biased. I think a broker dealing with patents, intellectual property, is at the highest end if they are an attorney, if they have the basics, understand what kind of IP they're working with, so they can appreciate and value it and explain the rights to the potential buyer or licensee. So that's my quick in a nutshell. Would you add anything to that?
No, I like the fold of having an actual patent attorney represent you as a broker.
Yep.
It's smart.
Yeah, absolutely. What percentage of registered marks are not used in business, and the owner puts the trademark up for sale?
None.
Ah, perfect. I love that answer.
So
why is it none?
Yeah, technically, in order to have a trademark registration, you have to have gone to market with the product or the service. So whereas anyone can have a trademark application for, a trademark, in order to get the registration certificate, the registration number, not just the application or serial number, you have to go to market. So you have to prove to the government that you're now offering the product or service for, purchase in the United States. So for you, in order to register a trademark, you have to go to market, and then you can sell the trademark. The government is never going to allow you to file an intent to use application. So kind of pre-market filing of a trademark application and then sell or transfer that trademark application to a third party. You have to go to market before you can assign the trademark to a third party.
Ooh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is different on the patent side. You can transact, pending applications. Of course, it comes with a lot more risk. Of course, that it may not ever be granted, but that's a really cool side note on trademarks. It makes sense.
Yeah. So we definitely want folks to have that bona fide intent to use the trademark, and you can't really have a bona fide intent to use something if you're ultimately just going to sell it before you go to market, right?
Yes, that's so cool.
You can't basically transfer your intent to a third party's, future intent.
Yeah, and I think I want to spend 1 minute on this too. In my mind, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I know you're going. You're going to public policy, aren't you? You're going public policy argument.
Maybe. I'm just saying you're not really selling a trademark as if you were selling like a domain name. It's not a discrete asset. It really is the business, isn't it, Matt?
Yep.
So you're selling your business when you transfer rights for a trademark.
Right. And we certainly don't, whereas on the patent side, we want to encourage people to disclose their inventions, right, and to push them out into the world, right, so that they have eyeballs on them. For trademarks, we don't want to gum up the system with trademark applications that are just there for prospecting purposes, right? No. We don't want the same thing that's happened in the domain world happening in the trademark world, where 100%. People are just out there prospecting and wheeling and dealing trademarks for money.
I love it.